Hey all, Rob here. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know when future videos are out. And the topic of this video is something I talked on before a bit, but I just want to talk on it again while I can, and why not? And it's regarding Marvel Legends, and it is also my opinion here that they have become, to my surprise, in terms of the stuff we follow as a community, they have become from the number one brand to number 4 in terms of quality. And let me explain why they went from number 1 to number 4, and how it is so disappointing that to see this happen. It used to be that Marvel Legends was the best deal in town. And I'm still a big Marvel fan, still a buyer of it, but I'll explain what's going on. So they were the best deal in town and back then I thought it was a lot of money. $9. It wasn't like super easy for me to get, because you'd buy a wave. 6 figures is like close to $70 with tax. But even then, it was such a deal. You had, from what we didn't know back then, was high quality sculpts, a lot of articulation, sometimes a comic book, a Build-A-Figure part, accessories, and even today, the Toy Biz, they experimented more on articulation. They took chances. Sometimes it would work better, sometimes it wouldn't work as good, but they at least innovated. They took a chance. Hasbro really doesn't do that anymore. Hasbro, they have the same articulation and they don't want to experiment really. So Toy Biz took chances. Better than just about any company at the cheap price point. They made articulation and the shading at a level that made it more than just like regular toys. They did a good job. Not all figures, when you look back, are great. And even back then, some weren't great. But some were really good. And some were top quality. And some still hold their quality 20 years later. And it's not fair to compare today to 20 years ago, because you should be making better figures today, right? And sometimes they do. And sometimes they don't. Usually the head sculpts of the females and the male characters, they really got good the last few years. So I gotta give them credit for that, Hasbro. Which we'll get to, okay? So they were the best deal in town. And then when Hasbro took over, they got rid of the comics and they raised the prices to about $15, which was an outrage for the fans. I remember it was pretty an outrage. And then we got used to it. And then it became $20, which we've been used to the last couple of years. I guess that's the way it is, Where I'm going with this is Hasbro Marvel was the best deal in town. I'm not sure what the DC Classics were. Was it $10? Was it $15? I don't know. A figure. And for many years they were good, DC. But when they ended the line and they made the signature line, and there were a few good figures there, but the signature stuff never took off. It was no. When they ended Classics, with rare exception, the DC stuff wasn't good anymore. It was roaming, looking for a home. to get quality. And McFarlane took the license. McFarlane in the beginning, first 2 waves or so, I really wasn't interested. I didn't buy it. I wasn't impressed with the overall quality. With the exception of maybe the Batman armor figure in the Series 1. The overall quality, what I was seeing, I was not impressed with. I didn't like it. I wasn't going to give it a chance. But they have greatly, within about a year, that first year, they really improved the quality, not by a little, but by a lot. I mean, they really got better, just in terms of the overall. And why I mentioned this, conversation-wise, is they are the best deal in town. They are. Most of the figures I paid under $20 for. Because of sales, I might have got it $3 off, $5 off, even $7 or more. A few I paid $25. I don't like the $25 price point. Usually you could wait to get it under $20. I should have waited on a few. But I really don't buy $25. Very rare. $20 I go for or less on sale. So he has the best deal in town. Because you're not getting a 6-inch figure. You're getting a 7-inch figure, which is more plastic. And even though you really don't get too many accessories, you do get the basic accessories. If there's a batarang or an effect pot that's needed, he will provide it. But no big extras overall. He doesn't do, unfortunately, he doesn't do head swaps or extra hands much. He's never done 2 heads in a package to swap out. But he has done a few hand swaps, very limited. But I do understand why. Why he makes the unmasked head separate, and why he'll repaint the same mold for a different edition. It's to make back the original cost of a sculpt, that sculpt. So got to make the money back and reissue it again. I get that, you know. But the thing is, why it's also the best deal is $20 or less, 7 inches, and almost all new sculpts. And what I mean by that is Toy Biz, they would make a lot of new sculpts, and they would reuse stuff, but they would make a lot of new sculpts from Marvel. In many cases. McFarlane is like that. He's making a lot of new sculpts. He does reuse, I get it. And he does reuse for some figure parts, I do get that. But it's not too much overall. He gives a lot of new sculpts that are usually one-off. Meaning for that one figure, and they're pretty much not used again. It's just one time. And by that I mean, if he issues the same figure again under a different color, it's that same figure, that same character. But he's not going to use the parts to make a different character and another character and someone else all on the same base body. So he's giving you new sculpts. He's giving you a 7-inch figure. He's giving you some big figures in there. The sculpt quality is good. The look is good. And again, what got me was a lot of stuff was cheaper than $20. $5 off or more. You know, that's what really got me to get interest. But they're the best deal in town. The DC stuff. And Spawn. The one thing I don't get with Spawn is he has to pay a DC rights fee, but Spawn, he owns it, no fee. But the Spawn stuff he charges $25 for, and the DC $20. But you own Spawn, why isn't it $20? So after I bought a Spawn figure, I realized, you know, wait for the sale. Because they're not as popular, it'll go down. I should have waited, could have saved more than $5 before. So just wait for a sale and then buy it. So here's the best deal in town. You would think I would say Marvel Legends is number 2. I realized it's number 4. It's 4 down, which we'll get to. The second best deal is actually G.I. Joe. 6-inch. I got the Storm Shadow recently, and the Spirit. So much better quality than Year One. Year One I didn't like. I didn't like where they were going. And I don't like the fact that Snake Eyes with the visor, they're using that same head sculpt on a new visor Snake Eyes. They have not made a new one head sculpt of that look in years. And that really annoys me. We got the Commando Snake Eyes, but we don't got that ninja look just right yet. Series 1 I did not like. I didn't like the direction. I didn't like the designs. They went a new direction, or they got this guy on who's really loyal to G.I. Joe. He knows it, and he likes the original designs. And again, like McFarlane, G.I. Joe, after the first year, the first couple of waves, the quality now is so much better. The sculpting, the look, the feel of it. The problem with G.I. Joe is they reuse figures way too much, issuing the same figure again with a different paint job. They reuse sculpts way too much. In other words, they're reusing the figure again and again and selling it with different paint jobs and minor changes. And just reusing that same figure to put out instead of making something new. But when they make a new figure and when they make a new sculpt, it is very high quality, and it is better than Marvel Legends, without question. New sculpts, new figures, like the Cobra Bat, the Cobra Officer. It took the original, which was really good, and it improved it. Again, the Storm Shadow, the Snake Eyes, the stuff now in G.I. Joe is really top quality. And they give you a lot of accessories. Now, I know the price point is about $25. It's more than the Marvel Legends 20, which we'll get to. But I'm telling you, the G.I. Joe 6-inch at about $25, when you get a new sculpt, a lot of accessories, it is high quality. What I want them to do is, they're probably not going to make Hooded Cobra Commander, I heard, due to being politically correct, and they don't want a hooded figure because of what it represents. But I want them to make the Cobra Commander in the body armor that he used to have in the 1980s. He had this armor on, and it looked pretty cool. I never got a figure of it. If they make a new sculpt, which they would have to, that would look really nice, that figure. And what they do also is they texture it. There's like a lot of good texture in the sculpt. A lot of paint. And don't forget, they own the G.I. Joe brand, Hasbro, like Transformers. They own it. And the thing is, I know it's Marvel Legends, even though they're 6-inch, they're about 6.5 really. It's a little bigger than it should be. The G.I. Joe is not compatible. The G.I. Joe was a more proper 6-inch. And it's a little better, I think. And the Star Wars is a proper 6-inch. It's a little better. G.I. Joe and Star Wars are more in scale to a proper 6-inch than Marvel, which is like 6.5 and a little bigger, a little wider than it should be in terms of proportions. But the G.I. Joe is good. McFarlane is the best also because 7 inches, cheaper. He's getting a lot of product out, new sculpts. He's just getting product out. A lot of stuff. And he's doing the right marketing. Advertise it now. Oh, 3 or 4 months later, you got it. What makes me angry at Hasbro is to advertise it now. See it middle of next year. That's what they do. I wanted the Moon Knight MCU one when I was watching the series. Now, I lost all feel for it. I don't want the MCU Moon Knight because I don't feel it anymore. I would have bought it if they had it out, but the fact you're going to put it out middle of next year or something, my interest is gone. So they lost that. The sculpts, the size, 7 inches, getting a lot of figures out, McFarlane number 1. Number 2, G.I. Joe. The sculpts, the paints, a lot of accessories, overall quality. But the only bad thing is they don't make too many new figures a year. They recycle too much, put the same stuff out. But when they make something new, it is really top stuff. I think they could be number 1 if they would only get more product out on a regular basis and produced a lot of stuff. They could have been number 1, but Hasbro doesn't. Third favorite line, number 3, is Star Wars 6-inch figure, the new stuff. It's funny, it seems like in the last 2 years, a lot of Hasbro stuff, G.I. Joe and Star Wars, went up in quality and Marvel went down, which we'll talk about. All of this is high quality. I mean, it looks good. They're getting pinless technology. It's a proper 6-inch. It feels good. The textures, the looks. It's real. I was really impressed with the last couple of figures I bought from the Star Wars 6-inch. Again, the problem I have with the Star Wars 6-inch, too much recycling of previous characters, making characters I don't have an interest in, that like I don't want to buy. And what they do is, which is wrong, is like on the archive line, they mix new characters with old sculpts that they fix up a little. They're using an old sculpt which they're fixing up a little to resell as they make new characters, and they mix it. The old sculpts, old stuff, I can tell, is nowhere near the quality of the new stuff. The new stuff is much better by a lot than the old stuff. And they mixed it. In other words, and the thing is, like the Luke I have and the Obi-Wan, which I just got, the figures look too small next to some of the new stuff. Because the scale changed a little bit, where I think the new stuff is a little bigger and the old stuff was a little too small, and it shouldn't have been. It looks wrong if you put them together. It doesn't look right when you put them near each other. The old stuff, the old molds, are not close in quality to the new stuff. It's that much better. It is. And so, I think, that's another reason. They don't get too much product out. That's stuff I want. Too much of it is old sculpts. And character selections I don't want. Prices went up. But when they make a new figure and they invest in making a new figure, it's really good quality if they make it new. So McFarlane, G.I. Joe, Star Wars. The only thing holding 2 and 3 back is lack of new product, not a lot. Too much reuse of old stuff that's not as good. But when they make new stuff, it's really, I'm telling you, top stuff. Number 4 and last is Marvel. To my surprise, What I don't like about the Marvel stuff is too much body reuse. They made a big issue that we have a new body sculpt. A Vulcan body mold will replace the 6-year-old Bucky Cap mold that they've been using. I don't know how many years, 5 years, maybe a bit more. So they've been still using this Bucky mold over 5 years. And they're making a big deal. We got a new body mold, the Vulcan body mold. What I don't like is they're using too much mold reuse, okay, on the Hasbro stuff. The Marvel stuff is too much mold reuse. In fact, this is what the line has become. When Toy Biz would make it, a lot of new sculpts. Again, there is some reuse. We cannot avoid that. But there is a lot of new sculpts, unique stuff, one-time use. And if they were reused, it wasn't used again. In other words, a Spider-Man sculpt, if they reused it, would be only used for Spider-Man figures. It wouldn't be used for a Captain America or an Iron Man or anyone else. That's an example. or if they give you a new figure, either most of it was new or it was usually new. McFarlane does some reuse, okay, but not too much. It gives you a lot of new sculpts. G.I. Joe and Star Wars, reuse old stuff, but they're also giving you new sculpts. But with Marvel, what it's become, in my opinion, is, for the toy side, maybe they have the same, I don't know, 6 to 12 base bodies. Again, I don't know how many, but it seems they got the same 6 to 12 or less base bodies. And any new character they make, they take one of the molds, change the head, change a couple of parts if you have to, like the legs, the lower legs, the lower arms, slap different paint on it, and they sell you the same figure. That's what they're doing. This has become lazy. And the thing is, when they do this, and what I want to point out is, if they are making a generic base body, you notice the sculpt is flat. There's no texture. There is no, let's say, lines where the glove should be, like a texture line where the boot should be. It's smooth. And they paint on the boots. In other words, they paint it on, and they paint on the gloves, where it's just a paint difference when it should be a sculpture difference. In other words, you should see a sculpt, and you don't, because they painted it. And the body is smooth, and they don't put the texture, because it's the same body molds. Again and again. You see, McFarlane, he gives you usually chest symbols that are raised. In other words, it is a sculpted chest symbol. You could feel the sculpted part. It's raised. It's unique. It's not painted on. Almost never. Marvel, they paint on the chest symbols. I think it is time we evolved from simply painting on the chest symbol to making it a sculptured, textured piece. And so it's, instead of saying we're going to give you new sculpts and it's what we're working towards, it's the same body molds, smooth, no texture, no detail. Fix it up a little bit, new head, couple of new parts, and just slap on different paint. It has become very, I don't know, it's, what's the word? It's become very, like, lower quality compared to what I'm saying about McFarlane, G.I. Joe, and Star Wars. The Marvel is using the same molds too much. And they make a big deal about one new body sculpt that they made, which they have already used 3 times coming up to the stuff coming out next year. They've already recycled it 2 more times. So it's like, and the reason I bring it up is they have raised prices from $20 to $25. But what I'm seeing is $27.99. So it's either $25 before tax or $27 before tax. When you add in the tax, that $25 figure is close to $27. $7 more. And the $27 figure is almost $30 a figure. So let's be honest. The Marvel Legend is almost $28 a figure. Or more. Almost $8. So a $20 figure is $8 more, which means 1/3 almost. You're paying almost a whole entire third more for a figure now. 1/3. Almost $10 basically, in my opinion. No window. You cannot see it. Which you can't buy it in the store now. Because people with the raised prices, especially a 2-pack, and there's only one figure they like, they buy the figure, they swap it out, they return it. Because why should I pay $50, they think, when I only want one figure, not for $50. So they'll return it, swap it, and then if you get that figure, what could you do? You gotta return it. You cannot trust a windowless figure in the store. You cannot. And if you do, I think, look at the seal. Look at the tape. Does it look like it's been opened? Does it look like it's been tampered with? Look at the corners. For me, I buy Amazon. I buy the Big Bad Store. I buy Target. I know it's new because it's right to the warehouse to you. It's not staying around the store shelf where people can mess with it. It's safer to order online. And again, why I'm bringing the Marvel issue up is the price point. You're paying $8 more, almost $10, from what was a $20 figure. And have you got $8 more in quality? That's my issue. Did you get $8 more in accessories? Did you get $8 more in overall quality? And the answer is no. The quality is the same. So if you're charging me $8, you should have better quality to earn that $8. And they have not. For $20, I would complain less. For $20, it's less issue. But when you raise prices, then people expect more. And they've not changed the quality. But I have to admit, the good stuff now, the pinless is the future. Pinless arms, pinless elbows, pinless knees. It looks better. Unless you're a customizer who takes figures apart, you cannot complain. You cannot say pinless does not look as good as pinned. I don't have issue with the pinned figure, but when you have a Spider-Man figure and one color is one way and the other color is not colored in, that's the issue on Spider-Man usually. Because you have one color here and the other color here is not colored in because the pin. So pinless is good. The head sculpts are good. And they still make figures I like, figures I want, figures that actually do look good. I'm not saying they don't look good. They do make figures I still do want. But So they make figures I want, figures I still want to buy. But now that they raised prices, I'm more selective. I'm going to buy less. And the good thing is I got so many figures of stuff I wanted, like one and done, that thankfully I don't see a need to buy it again. Unless there happens to be a huge difference or some reason to buy it, I'm okay with what I got. Like let's say, like some of the stuff. Like some of the Iron Man figures, some of the Caps, the Punisher stuff. It's like if I don't get a new figure of that character, I'm okay with what I got. So it's like you got one figure and I don't need any more. I'm good with it. If that makes sense to you, that one and done. You got it. You filled the character slot, and there's no need to buy it again in the future. It's good enough, you know. That's the way it is. That's just my view on it, you know, that hopefully I want to tone it down, that I don't want to spend as much, that I got the stuff I wanted and a lot of stuff I don't need. But the funny thing is, and they admitted this, a lot of the Marvel budget goes to making movie and Disney Plus toys. If you notice it, the movie and the Disney Plus toys get all new sculpts. They even admitted it on one of those interviews that the budget goes to the movie stuff. In terms of the budget, they get new sculpts usually. The quality is good. They get all the resources. And that means the comic toys, even though they did not say it, that means the comic toys gets the second hand-me-down quality. They spent all the budget on the movie and the Disney Plus toys, giving you a new sculpt, high quality, texture. That's the budget. The comics get the leftover budget. That's why we get so many mold reuse and not many new sculpts. They care more about the MCU stuff, toy-wise. But like I read a person say, you know, we are the comic fans. We want the comic figures. Most of the MCU stuff is shit. Had to say it, and I agree. Outside of Spider-Man, outside of a few key characters, a lot of the MCU stuff, I have no interest in. Zero. With the exception of, let's say, the Thor wave. I wanted the female Thor. Maybe I get a Thor for my collection I need, because I don't have one. All the other stuff, no interest. They had the new wave, the Kanashu wave, whatever. I want maybe one figure in that wave. The rest of it, no interest. They had another wave where I might buy one of the suit guys because of the suit figure and make him someone else. The other 6 or so figures, no interest. I don't think the What If wave, I don't think I bought anyone. So they spend the money on the MCU wave. The MCU stuff. That's where the budget goes. If only that budget went to making comic figures that good. Unique sculpts, textures, etc. But they don't. They spent all the budget, which they even admitted, making movie toys. And as the guy said, I was following, us buyers, us comic fans, we don't want many movie toys. Most of it's crap. We're not going to buy it. It's the truth. I don't have interest in it. With rare exceptions, most movie stuff, I have no interest. I just want the comic stuff, like you said, and we get the second leftover budget for that. And it's just not cool, And they take character slots. Let's say you can make 100 figures a year. If you're making 40 movie figures or 60, that means you can't make 40 or 60 comic figures because the movie figures took the slot of a comic figure. So they take the movie figures take a comic slot and they use the leftover budget. But again, that's not to say I don't like the Marvel stuff. I still do. But I don't see the $8 in quality, which is a turn-off. I don't see the difference. And it's not as good a value a deal. I talked too long. I hope it's okay. Let me know. McFarlane number 1. G.I. Joe number 2. Star Wars number 3. The Marvel brand number 4. And thankfully I don't need it as much anymore. And it's not as... Hopefully it's a way to save money. You buy less. You don't need it as much. And just... It's too much, It's... They're pricing people out. And what I predict is... McFarlane... He should battle and try to get the Marvel rights because he would make millions if he got it. He got popular brands. He got DC. Who's to say he couldn't get the Marvel rights? It's possible come renewal time. And otherwise, if Hasbro keeps it, if the prices go up, what I predict they'll do is maybe they cancel the Legends line, make a cheaper scale, 4 or 5 inches, and then charge you $20 for that instead. As a way to lower the price. I don't know what'll happen, but that's my theory. And so, thanks for watching. Stay safe, my friends. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.